Greetings children, welcome to the online classes and welcome to the second part of excretory system lesson. In last class we discussed the definition for excretion and then the different excretory organs we have and what are the substance has to be get rid of from our body and what is the difference between defecation and excretion. And we learned the external structure of kidney too, right? So these are the parts that we learned last day, right? And now we are going to learn the internal structure of kidney. So this is kidney. We learned about the structure of kidney last day. This part is hilum and this is pelvis and this is kidney. Right? Now we are going to learn the internal structure of this kidney. How can we learn the internal structure? We need to know the longitudinal section. We are going to take one cross section through this manner. So this is the LS of kidney. Longitudinal sectional view of kidney. Okay? So we are going to learn the internal structure of kidney. So in internal structure, the kidney comprises two major regions. It comprises of two major regions. This outer region is known as cortex. This is the outer part, outer region, and this is known as cortex. This outer region, you can see that it possesses a dotted appearance. This is all like dotted. Okay. Above this you have the blood vessel. Now we are not learning about the blood vessel. By the end of this class we will learn about, but now I am giving you this just a dotted appearance. In this region you can see it very clearly. This is the enlarged view. So you can see that it's having dotted appearance because of the presence of nephron. That we will go ahead later. Now the second part is medulla. Okay, this is the second part. This is medulla. This medulla region is having a striped appearance. Can you see that it's all like stripes? So the outer region is cortex, which is having dotted appearance, and the middle region is medulla, which is having a striped appearance. And this middle region we have conical structure. This is known as pyramids. Okay, as it is present in kidney, what should we call this pyramids as? Renal pyramid. I already told you that wherever you have to use the term kidney, we need to go with the word renal. So this pyramids which is found in the kidney medulla region is known as renal pyramid. So medulla is composed of renal pyramid. Okay, medulla is composed of renal pyramid. And what is this renal pyramid? They have striped appearance because of this structure. We'll learn that now. Okay, so this apex, this apical part of each and every renal pyramid will open into the pelvis. This is pelvis, isn't it? This part is hilum and this is pelvis. And you can see that this is pelvis, and what is this structure? This white color structure you can see here. This is pelvis, and just before pelvis we have the calyx. Calyces, or calyces means the calyx of pelvis. Okay, that is like side branch or a sub branch. So this is pelvis and these are the calyces, renal calyces, and here in between the renal pyramid you can see one column that is known as renal column. Okay, this part is known as renal column. It's not there in your book, please note it down. This part that is present between two renal pyramid is known as renal column. And the renal pyramid opens in the pelvis. But this is calyces. Okay, renal pyramid opens in the pelvis through calyces. Okay, so calyces, C-A-L-Y-C-E-S. Okay, so renal column and renal calyces is not there in your book, but for competitive exam you can use it. So renal column and renal pelvis. Renal column is the region between two renal pyramid. Extension of cortex, that is what renal column. Extension of cortex. Can you see that the dotted appearance here too? So this is extension of cortex, that is renal column. And renal pyramid, This is having striped appearance, which opens into calyces, and the calyces opens through the pelvis or into the pelvis. Okay, so this is the internal structure. So internal structure is composed of two major regions, outer cortex and the inner medulla part. The medulla part is composed of striped substances, which is composed of too much of conical pyramids, renal pyramids, and this pyramid projects into the pelvis, or it opens into the pelvis. And this apex region is known as papilla. Papilla opens in the calyces, and calyces opens in the pelvis. Okay, so the apical region, this region is somewhat like a top of a mountain. Okay, so this apex is known as papilla. Papilla opens in callus. This is callus, the branch like thing. This is callus, and then calyces opens into the pelvis. Got it clear? So this is the internal structure. Now we are going so in detail. This part, it's like a zoomed one. This kidney is composed of more than millions of cells, more than some millions of cells are there, and that cells forms the kidney's major function. This is the structural and functional unit of kidney, and the name of this cell is known as nephron. Okay, this is nephron. Can you see one long coiled structure? This is nephron. Okay, so this nephron, this is just the head of a nephron, and this is one complete nephron. This is the head part, this is the head part, and then you have a long tube, and the tube opens in this one common tube. Okay, so this is another nephron. This is another nephron. This opens in the common tube. This is a common tube or common duct. So you have more number of cells like this. This long cell is found throughout the length. Okay, so this head is the reason for this dotted appearance. Okay, shall we go into the structure of kidney tubule? Before that, we will revise and we will just recap what are the things we discussed now. Internal structure of kidney, the outer darker cortex, it looks darker than the inner part. So outer darker part is known as cortex, which is having dotted appearance, and inner lighter part is known as medulla, which is having striped appearance, and which is composed of conical pyramids. And then apex of each pyramid, I said apex of pyramid can be compared with the top of a mountain. So apex of each pyramid, which is termed as papilla, renal papilla. And the papilla projects into pelvis through the renal calyces. Okay, and the kidney is composed of nephron. Nephrons can be otherwise termed as urinary tubules. And the nephrons, this is the definition for nephron. Nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. So this is the definition for nephron. What is nephron means? You can go with like structural and functional unit of kidney. As like you have studied about neuron. Remember that neuron. Neuron is the structural and functional unit of brain. As like that, nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. Okay, nephron is the cell which makes up a kidney complete. Okay, so about this we have studied. Now we are going to learn structure of a nephron. This is one single nephron. Okay, this is one single nephron. You can see that long tubule. Okay, so we can call this nephron as urinary tubule. Nephron or urinary tubule or kidney tubule, all are same. Okay, so a nephron is composed of two major part, two major segment. A nephron is composed of two major part. First part is Malpighian capsule. Malpighi is the person who discovered that. Okay, so Malpighian capsule. Malpighian capsule, and then tubules. The tubules of kidney tubule. Okay, so in Malpighian capsule, which is composed of glomerulus and Bowman's cup. So learn that. First, this is a kidney tubule. Okay, this long structure is the kidney tubule, and I said that is divided into two major parts. One is Malpighian capsule. This is Malpighian capsule. Look at that. This is Malpighian capsule. This head-like structure is the Malpighian capsule. and this entire remaining tubule, don't concentrate on the blood vessel, just look at this yellow golden sort of tubule, colored tubule. So this tubule is the rest of the part. This is a common tubule, leave that. Up to this, okay, up to this it is nephron. So from here till here this is one nephron. So this is Malpighian capsule and this is the tubule connected with. And now in Malpighian capsule again we can divide that into two parts. This Malpighian capsule is again divided into two parts. First one is glomerulus. Can we see one blood capillary bunch here? The blood capillary bunch, this group of or a cleft of or a bunch of blood capillary is known as glomerulus. Okay, this is known as glomerulus. This glomerulus is found inside one single layer of epithelial cell forms a cup. This cup is known as Bowman's cup. This cup, okay, which is composed of a single layer of epithelial cells, and this cup is known as Bowman's cup. Okay, so Bowman's cup and glomerulus. Bowman's cup and glomerulus comprises Malpighian capsule. Bowman's cup and glomerulus. Technically glomerulus is so important, that's why glomerulus I have written first. Glomerulus and Bowman's cup comprises or forms the Malpighian capsule. Now the next part is tubules. Look at the picture. This is the tubule part up to this. So this tubule is known as proximal convoluted tubule. There is a meaning for each and every word there. There is a meaning for each and every term there. So this part is known as proximal convoluted tubule. The meaning of the word proximal is first, prior or near, adjacent. Okay, proximal, which is adjacent to the Bowman's cup, first part. Convoluted means which is like so coiled. So proximal convoluted tubule. Now the spelling, proximal convoluted tubule. That means which is near or adjacent coiled tubule. Tubule means small tube. Okay, minute tube is tubule. So proximal convoluted tubule is the first part. This one, up to this. And next you can see one small U-shaped tube. This is Henle's U loop. Henle's U loop or Henle's loop. That is the second part. And the third part, distal convoluted tubule. What is the meaning of the word distal? Means later, after, which is far away. So distal convoluted. What is the meaning of convoluted? Just now I said it is coiled, right? So that is distal convoluted tubule. Okay. So up to this is the structure of nephron. And what is this thing? This tubule, this is known as collecting duct. This will be receiving urine from a lot of nephron. Here another nephron will be, here another nephron, here another nephron, here another nephron. Okay, so you have a lot of nephrons connected in this common duct. This is collecting duct. Okay, so what are the part of a nephron? The first part is Malpighian capsule, which is like a head, and then the tubules, which is like a tail. Okay, Malpighian capsule is composed of glomerulus, which is a bunch of blood vessel, blood capillaries. It's not blood vessel, it is blood capillary. A bunch of blood capillaries, which is found inside one small cup-like structure. That cup-like structure is known as Bowman's cup. Bowman's cup. Okay, together these two forms the Malpighian capsule. Now the second part is tubules. There are three parts in the tubule. The first one is proximal convoluted tubule. Convoluted means coiled. Proximal means nearer. Proximal convoluted tubule, and then Henle's U loop, and then distal convoluted tubule. Right? This is the structure of one nephron. Okay? Is this clear? Right? Shall we go with the next part? The next part is about the blood vessels. I told you that I will teach you about the blood vessels, right? So this is about blood vessels. What are the blood vessels? You need to learn too much terms in this lesson, but it's easy to learn. Just listen to the class and work it out. Okay, it's easy to understand, easy to learn. I will tell you why it is named so. I am giving you reasons also for the naming. So please make sure that you understand the concept, and then you can remember the names forever. Okay, so first, the blood vessels, we are going to learn the name of these blood vessels. Okay, generally for 10th standard they will be asking questions from the name of blood vessels or which blood vessel is where. So those sort of questions you can expect from this part. So for that you need to know the blood vessel's name also. So first, this is in red color, and you know that this is artery, which carries the oxygen rich blood, isn't it? And the blue color blood vessel is vein. This one is vein, which carries the deoxygenated blood. In last year itself you have studied about that. So this artery, we need to start from artery. Can anyone remember the major artery in our body which is rising out of the heart? Can anyone remember that? Last year you have studied, or everyone have studied last year. The major artery, the first artery which is produced in our heart. Okay, the first artery which comes out of the heart. I guess you remember that, that is aorta. Okay, aorta is the name of the major artery which comes out of the heart. So this is a branch of aorta. So aorta gives rise a branch which goes to the kidney. So what would be the name of this artery? It comes to the kidney. So the key term there is renal, isn't it? So this is renal artery. And renal artery produces so many branches. Here itself you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches. Renal artery produces so many branches, and each branch will enter into one nephron. This is glomerulus. Already we named that. This is glomerulus. And what is the name of this artery? This is not artery. This is arteriole. It becomes arteriole now. And this arteriole, as it is approaching glomerulus, as it is entering into glomerulus, we are calling it as afferent arteriole. Afferent means approaching. Okay, afferent arteriole. So what is the name of this artery? Renal artery. From where this comes? It comes from aorta. So first aorta and then renal artery, and this is afferent arteriole. Okay, this is afferent arteriole, right? And this afferent arteriole forms the glomerulus. It divides, branches and forms the glomerulus, and then the glomerulus is coming out. Can you see that? It comes out. Look at the arrow here. It comes out, right? And this arteriole comes out and it forms efferent arteriole. Efferent, just one letter is different from afferent and efferent. Afferent is approaching arteriole, it starts with A. Efferent is exiting arteriole, which starts with E, right? Easy to remember, isn't it? Afferent arteriole, glomerulus, and then exiting efferent arteriole, right? This is efferent arteriole. Again it is artery only, arteriole. And now this is forming a secondary capillary network. This is first primary capillary network. This is a second capillary network. So this is efferent arteriole. Again this forms another capillary, and this capillary is known as vasa recta. Okay, this is actually known as proximal capillary, but you are not learning as per your syllabus. This together forms the vasa recta. This is vasa recta actually. Okay, but in your syllabus you have to learn that this is secondary capillary network and vasa recta. Okay, so this is vasa recta, and this vasa recta combines to form renal venule. This is venule, and this is renal vein, and this renal vein opens up in the, anyone? Renal vein opens up in the inferior vena cava. Okay, this inferior vena cava directly takes the blood to the heart. isn't it? So inferior vena cava takes the impure blood from the lower parts of our body. Okay, so what are the blood vessels we have learned now? First one, aorta. Aorta produces renal artery. Renal artery branches into afferent arteriole, which later forms a capillary called glomerulus and combines to form efferent arteriole, and then this forms a secondary capillary network, and this is known as vasa recta, and forms venule, renal vein, renal venule and renal vein, and then inferior vena cava directly goes to the heart. Okay, right? So these are the blood vessels here. Okay, this is all clear. First one, aorta, the major blood vessel, pure blood carrying blood vessel, and the next one, renal artery, and renal artery produces afferent arteriole for each and every nephron, and that forms glomerulus, that's a capillary bunch, and then efferent arteriole, look at the spelling, efferent arteriole, which leaves out of the Bowman's cup, and then forms vasa recta or secondary capillary network, and then it forms renal vein, it combines to form renal vein, and later renal vein combine to form inferior vena cava, it opens up into inferior vena cava. Right, these are the blood vessels. Now I need to give you one important thing to note. Look at this, afferent arteriole is a little bit bigger than the efferent arteriole. The width or the diameter of this tubule is a little bit bigger. Okay, remember this structure for our next class. So what are the blood vessels here? Aorta, renal artery, afferent arteriole, which is a little bit wider or which is a little bit bigger, right? And then glomerulus, and then efferent arteriole forms the secondary network, capillary network or vasa recta, renal vein, and then inferior vena cava. Okay, so this is how the blood is being supplied to the kidney tubule. Okay, so how the urine is being formed. Okay, so urine, how it is being formed. Till now you all have studied this artery is with pure blood and vein is with impure blood. And while you are coming to higher classes, you have to change the words that you are saying. This artery is actually, as per excretory system lesson, they will be giving you the question as arteries are loaded with dirty blood and veins are with clean blood. What is it? Artery is completely loaded with nitrogenous waste, and artery is going into the nephron where the blood is being filtered, and the waste will be going into the kidney tubule. Only the blood will be passing out through this way. Can you see that arrow? This is showing the flow of blood. This red and blue shows the flow of blood. And up to this is artery, which will be providing oxygen to the structure. And from here, the structures are giving carbon dioxide into the blood. So this becomes vein. Okay, but the composition of blood, here it is dirty because it's loaded with nitrogenous waste. When it crosses this part, all the nitrogenous waste, all the excretory product are going into the nephron. So the blood becomes purified, or the blood becomes completely clean out of nitrogenous waste. So this blood becomes free from nitrogenous waste. So this is the reason sometimes in question paper they used to ask, renal arteries chemical composition is more dirtier than renal vein. You have to justify your statement. The artery and vein, of course, they are like impure blood and pure blood. That is based on the composition of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, but here this dirty and clean blood is based on the nitrogenous waste because it is in context with excretory system. Okay, got it clear? That is the reason why we are saying that statement in a different way here. So here renal vein is clean, that is free from nitrogenous waste. Yes, very good. So that is free from nitrogenous waste. Got it clear? About urine formation, we will be learning about that in detail in the second class, in the next class. Okay, so in urine formation, there are two major steps in urine formation. Only the first topic I will teach you now. The first process of urine formation is ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration. Ultra means it's like with higher pressure. It's with high pressure, or it occurs under greater pressure. That's why it is known as ultrafiltration. Filtration, you all know that filtration means separating out some matters from another liquid matter. So here, ultrafiltration occurs in glomerulus. Okay, ultrafiltration occurs in glomerulus. And what causes this ultrafiltration, or what causes this huge pressure difference, is this difference in their width. Difference between the narrow nature between the afferent and efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole is narrower than the afferent arteriole. Efferent is smaller, or it's having reduced width or reduced diameter than the afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole is a little bit bigger. Can you see that here? Afferent arteriole is a little bit bigger. So the blood, when it goes into the glomerulus, it is like so relaxed because the blood vessel is, the arteriole is a little bit bigger here. So it go into the glomerulus, it enters into the glomerulus in a very relaxed way. When it goes in a relaxed way, there is a chance of diffusion. The waste matter can easily ooze out, but that will be facilitated by this efferent arteriole's narrow nature. As this pipe is narrow, as this tubule is very narrower, we can imagine that one big hose is supplying water, and that water has to go in through a small nozzle. What would happen? The nozzle will releases out, pumps out water with high pressure, isn't it? So there will be a exertion of high pressure. Imagine that you have a pipe at home which is having a small nozzle. The water will come out of the nozzle through huge pressure if there is no other way to go out. Okay, so that is how this ultrafiltration is being created. That higher pressure will forcefully expel out this waste materials, that is nitrogenous waste or solid matter which is not connected or which is not belonging to the blood. All the other matter will go out of this blood in this part. Okay, so due to ultrafiltration, except the liquid part of the blood, except the part of blood, all other substances will go out. That includes sometimes glucose, important amino acids, important medicines. Okay, everything, every substance which is not belongs to the blood will go out of this glomerulus because of this huge pressure which happens or which is created by this difference in their narrowness. Okay, so afferent arteriole is a little bit bigger and efferent arteriole is very narrower. This is wider and this is narrower, and this creates a huge pressure difference, and because of this high pressure difference, all the solid matters, all the molecules will be expelled out. The matters which is not of blood will be expelled out into the urinary tubule, especially into the proximal convoluted tubule. That is what coming through the yellow arrow. Okay, so this is ultrafiltration. Now, the things which comes out through this way, what we are calling it as glomerular filtrate. There will be enough water also. Okay, enough water will also be available in this. So that is known as glomerular filtrate. We are not calling it as urine. This is glomerular filtrate. What comes out of glomerulus is glomerular filtrate. So that may have water in it, that may have huge amount of urea in it, that may have huge amount of glucose, that may have amino acid, that may have salts, that may have all the necessary foods. Like if sometimes like medicines, if we are consuming, that medicines may also be there. So all these things together we are calling it as glomerular filtrate. Now the glomerular filtrate will pass through this tubule, and there are some more processes to occur. Okay, so now you are learning only about the formation of glomerular filtrate and by a process called ultrafiltration. Okay, so what are the things we have studied? Ultrafiltration. And what is the reason for ultrafiltration? the difference in the width of these two tubules. Afferent arteriole is wider and efferent arteriole is narrower. Okay, right? So what are the things you have learned today completely? The first one what we learn is the internal structure of kidney, which has outer cortex, which is having dotted appearance. And what causes the dotted appearance? Now you can be very clear what causes the dotted appearance. Up to this part, okay, glomerulus and proximal convoluted tubule is present in the cortex. Glomerulus and proximal convoluted tubule is present in the cortex. Can we see that now? Glomerulus, proximal convoluted tubule is present in the cortex. And then Henle's loop and distal convoluted tubule is present in the medulla part. Okay, so this dotted appearance is because of glomerulus and proximal convoluted tubule, which gives the dotted appearance. And the next one, that is renal medulla. Renal medulla is forming this striped appearance, and this striped appearance is because of collecting duct, Henle's loop and distal convoluted tubules extension. Okay, so that forms the striped appearance. Can we see that here it's all striped? Okay, so here it is dotted. That is all because of the proximal convoluted tubule and glomerulus, or glomerulus and proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, I know you are learning too many terms now, but you have to read again and again, listen to the class and read the text and go through your portion every day. You are learning too many terms in zoology lessons, I know that, but you have to learn. There is no other go, right? Yes, so we can go with the summary. Today we have discussed about we have learned about the internal structure of kidney, and then we learned the structure of a nephron. This one, structure of a nephron we learned. And then blood supply to the nephron. Yes, we learned that. This is the pathway. So we learned about the blood supply of nephron too. And we discussed about ultrafiltration, and we learned about ultrafiltration too. But no problem, next class again let me start with ultrafiltration. Okay, so only 3 different topics that we have learned today. The topics are internal structure of kidney, structure of a kidney tubule or nephron, and then blood supply to the kidney tubules. Only these 3 topics we have learned today. We have I taught you only these 3 topics. Now your homework, read the text. That's very important. Read the text and underline the key terms while you are reading. Underline the things that what I am stressing you more, and then go with the exercise question. You just have progress check in between, and your book evaluation exercise also. What are the topics you can answer? What are the answers you can answer? You just write it with pencil, not on the book. It won't be looking good. So you just use your bio note to write answers. Later, while we come to school, we will discuss about that, and we will go with the correct answers. Okay, in school we can do that. So this is your homework today. Read the text and try the exercise questions. And let me tell you one more thing. On the first day of school, I'll be checking your notes. You have to take down notes when you're listening to the video. It's not to pass your time. You know that very clearly. We need to go with our everyday portion in a proper way. So please do take notes, and I'll be checking your note. All the diagrams has to be there. All the diagrams, there is no exemption. If it is not necessary, I will be telling you that this diagram you don't want to draw. So until and unless, you have to draw almost all the diagram, and you have to label the parts, and the diagrams must be in pencil. You don't want to color it, but if you are interested to color it, I am not stopping you. You can color it, but for exams you don't want to color. You have to use only pencil to draw your diagram. So make sure you're doing your preparations for your board exams next year. So please don't waste the time, and thank you so much, and the rest we will be discussing in the next day. So please do take notes. Thank you, kids.